In recent months, a campervan conversion company went bust. Did you know that I'm a Premier League winner? I told of a poor man's buying disaster and a series of other issues from bad converters, from which I had several comments asking why I wouldn't name the specific companies I was referring to. It's a good question, and today I'm going to explain why I've chosen not to name and shame. There are several good reasons why not, and I'm going to give you some perfect examples why. This was also in a previous video I did, where one guy bought a van and he said, it could have killed us. It was really, really bad, really bad. And he's even talking about fake gas certificates. There were dropout vents in his van that were quite unbelievable, like not really a vent at all. Truly awful and completely dangerous. And I'm sure we can all agree, we all want all that to stop. Now, I really do understand this desire for a blacklist, a list of people to avoid, and it would be quick and an easy solution. That would not only help you, but also some good converters who suffer from these companies, including one that I'm going to come on to. Someone asked me to make a list of the bad ones to avoid, but there are many pitfalls with that. The list wouldn't be exhaustive for a start. I'm only one person, and maintaining a list would just not be possible. Plus, what if a company improves? Yeah, I will explain. One reason I don't want to name them is the risk of legal issues. You know, making negative comments about specific companies could open the door to potential legal action, no matter how right I am. Part of the problem is that some people might only see one part of the video and then take it out of context. And trust me, this has happened. It was a rather strange phone call. I got an email and asked to call this company, and I was completely baffled. And I had to keep saying, have you actually watched the video? Watch the video and then we'll speak again. And yeah, it turned out they were rather pleased when they'd actually watched the full video, when they realised what I was actually saying in it. They just jumped to the wrong conclusion by just looking at a very small segment. Now, this is just a hobby for me, occupying my mind, and I'm trying to help people. I certainly don't want to be getting involved in any legal battles. I don't want the toxicity of it. I'm trying to help people, like I do with several other aspects of my life. Did you know that I'm a Premier League winner? No, I'm actually no good at football. It was just an award for some voluntary work which I do. But the point is, my intention is to help. You know, I'm not looking to start arguments. I don't want the negativity. I want people to see what the potential problems could be, know what to check and what to look for. This year, there's going to be lots more informative videos with some new projects, hopefully including this major one which I've mentioned before that I haven't actually announced yet because I'm waiting for a phone call to hopefully start this big chain of events, and that really will be something special. These videos will be beneficial to many. Subscribe if you haven't, because honestly it really will be worthwhile. And I often talk about good converters in my videos, people who build the vans properly, yet even those converters could be given a bad name wrongly in certain scenarios. An example would be, well, actually an example which I've actually seen is someone bought a van from an NCC manufacturer, and within a day of collecting it, they had fitted aftermarket alloys and a solar panel. But the tyres were not correctly rated, and the solar panel install, well, let's just say it didn't match the rest of the quality of the van. The pictures online attracted a lot of comments. And in that situation, a converter could wrongly be accused of what was a poor van in the end, but it wasn't the original converter's bad work, even though it looked like it was, because it was a brand new van. So you can see that that's just another reason not to name them. Like I've said, I know many conversion companies watch my videos, but what happens if a poor conversion company watches my videos? Well, hopefully they might learn something. Or perhaps, if they are telling lies and misleading customers, then they might think again. Although, who knows what will actually happen. But I do know for a fact that I have helped converters, the ones who want to learn, the ones who didn't know but they do want to learn. I previously said that there's lots of trades involved in building a campervan. Electrics, plumbing, ventilation, carpentry, just to name a few. There can often be new changes by accreditation bodies that others aren't aware of. And they may just appear when they buy a new component, like your pop-top, like the pop-top canvases. Now, you might have noticed that the new ones, a lot of them now have an air vent that wasn't there previously. You know, these changes that are often made to NCC regulations, but because not everybody follows the NCC regulations, they may not be aware of certain aspects, like dropout vents. And I saw quite a long post in a group, probably last year, maybe the year before, which showed a picture of a vent in a passenger side step with nothing attached. Now, many people jumped onto the conclusion that that was a diesel heater and the pipe had just fallen off. And there were several comments from a lot of people, including from converters, saying just that, the pipe's fallen off. Now, diesel heaters are often found on the driver's side, and yes, you may find a vent for this, but this vent was on the passenger side, and very, very few people actually knew that that was actually a dropout vent, which is required by the NCC. So that's in addition to other vents which you're going to find around your cooking appliances or in your gas lockers and things like that. But because these people didn't follow the NCC regulations, they weren't aware of it. They're not expected to know of it. This was a conversation I had with a converter, and they weren't aware of it at all. But following our conversation, they were, and then that gives them that knowledge to then install it should they wish. Now, a basic budget-friendly conversion isn't inherently bad if the buyer knew what they were getting and paid a fair price. My concern in the previous video was about people paying top spec prices for budget builds due to them being misled. Some campers could be advertised as no expense spared or top of the range, etc. Yet, when it comes to the components, it could say things like pop top with bed, diesel heater, crash tested bed, but no detailed description, no list of components. List the components, the make and the model. If it's top of the range, great, but what is it? Name it, or are you trying to hide the fact that it isn't? I've seen comments calling this out recently, which is brilliant. Let's try and stop this false advertising. Name what the product is and the model, and people can then research and see for themselves. One of the biggest reasons for not naming a campervan conversion company who produce bad conversions is that they could change. They may stop using rubber hoses where they shouldn't be, stop using cheap diesel heaters, stop using underrated tyres, unrated wheels, or even selling vans with cheap copies of good wheels. The bed systems may be improved, change for properly crash tested beds, in chassis crash tested, not just those on a metal bench. They could change the pop top brand to a tested one and therefore now be good. They may become NCC approved, and they may also become a manufacturer approved converter. Companies have to start somewhere. There are minimum standards for these accreditations, and they can't all be achieved immediately. I'm probably being too nice, as some of the worst culprits aren't new small companies. Some have been trading longer and are much bigger, but they could change. And if people know what they're looking for, then that can only help them to change. There has been an element of change already. There seems to be less underrated tyres being used, better bed systems are being utilised, and some buyers are asking more questions. That's how one converter was made aware of my channel. They had a prospective customer who was asking some questions, and these questions seemed to be quite informed. So the converter actually, asked, obviously you know what you're talking about, and he mentioned my channel. So since then, that converter, that manufacturer, then started watching my channel, and again I got a message and we had a phone call, and yeah, he was really pleased with what I was saying. Actually, very appreciative that I was trying to help the industry, which is kind of really nice to hear. But it's not just campervans, and another aspect is products. I have my MyRider electrically assisted bike, and I absolutely love it. It's an amazing ride, and it's been built properly, and it is safe. But there are many other options out there which don't carry those same levels of safety and the testing. But I'm not going to be naming them either. Today some companies might be using battery cells that aren't up to the high standards that the ones that MyRider use. They might not be built to the same quality levels. They might not have those quality checks. But in a few years' time, they might, and they might improve. I often receive emails from companies asking me to promote their products, and I wouldn't touch most of them, but I'm certainly not going to be naming them or calling them out or anything. That new startup that produces a product and makes a big error could one day rectify it and then become on to be a really, really good company. In recent months, a campervan conversion company went bust. They entered administration. Now, this isn't nice for anybody. Jobs are lost, families lose the income. It's a horrible, horrible situation. And this company was one of the good guys. You know, they had been around for a long time. They did the job right. They were previously NCC approved, Volkswagen qualified, and lots of other accreditations. And I understand the reason for the money problems was due to the high research and development, the testing costs of the new products that led to the demise. They didn't need to do all that, but they wanted to do that job properly. And like one other converter told me, they spend big money on ensuring safety because they want to sleep at night. They don't need to spend that big money, but they do because they want to make sure that they do that job properly. Now, typically there I go off on a tangent again, but the point of it is I floated the idea of making a video about the situation, as I didn't feel right that a company investing so much to do the job properly, like many others do, should no longer be around. So I contacted the company owner and I had no response. So out of respect, I didn't make that video, and nor will I name them now. Respect for them, and respect for the fact that the converters who are doing it bad now may one day start doing it right. Perhaps they won't, but the more people who know what to look for, the less that will be buying these poorer campers. Please respect that. That's my decision not to name them. Ultimately, my goal is to create a more informed marketplace where buyers can confidently navigate their options. By focusing on that education and empowering you with the right questions to ask, I do genuinely believe that I can create a more lasting and widespread positive impact than just simply naming them. You know, hopefully one day these companies may turn good. You know, what's that saying? Give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish and you can feed him for a lifetime. You know, so while I appreciate that desire for a blacklist, you know, I truly believe that equipping you with that knowledge to make those informed decisions, it can be the most effective way that these campervan buying mistakes are going to be avoided. You know, keep asking the questions, keep doing your research, and get ready for lots more information coming soon that's really going to help you make those right decisions with some fun videos. Yeah, okay, some might say that I'm boring, but I'm going to be having some people on this channel who are certainly not going to be boring. And if you think that the campervan lifestyle is expensive, then have a look at here, because it isn't as expensive as you think. Thanks for watching, take care, and I hope to see you soon.